once in a while, you just have to get away. You just have to leave the responsibilities and the pressures of your life, the busyness that pulls at us from every direction, and get away for just a few days so that you can reconnect with your Creator, with yourself, and with the calling that God has on your life. Welcome back to Toes in the Sand with Lisa. I am so excited to share this new episode with you today, and I appreciate you being here. I'm actually here in sunny Florida. I am so excited to be here, putting my toes in the sand this week. My husband and I are in Clearwater Beach, Florida, and it's so gorgeous. But actually, I'm lying. It's not sunny at all. It's 60 degrees, cloudy, rainy, and windy. And I'm actually wearing a jacket and jeans at the beach. Not exactly the perfect beach attire, but nevertheless, it is the beach. And anytime I can put my toes in the sand is a good day for me. So welcome back to part 2 of an amazing interview with Michelle Perzan. If you didn't have a chance to see part 1 of this interview, please go back and watch it. I want you to meet this amazing friend of mine who is a breast cancer survivor, mother of 3 little boys and a wife. And she has taken an extremely difficult time in her life over the last 5 years and turned it into something so beautiful that is impacting thousands of lives. So sit back and enjoy the show. That was one mighty powerful prayer that you prayed, Michelle Perzan, when you said, God, if you'll help me get through this, I'll do anything you ask me to do. I mean, you prayed that, and he said, all right then, have I got some assignments for you?
And I met Michelle, I guess, right when she was diagnosed, actually, with breast cancer. And so becoming friends with somebody and having a family member that's gone through this experience, you always want to be a part of it any way that you can. And so I'm thrilled to be a part of the Rock Walk with Michelle Perzan and her family, and knowing that she is a survivor and a fighter from day one.
And, you know, we've often heard the phrase, and it's biblical, but I don't think this is an actual scripture. God doesn't call the equipped, he equips the called.
It's a true story.
And so he equipped you with whatever you needed, and he is still doing that. Mm-hmm. As you just take one step of faith after another, with courage, with faith, with the right people around you. Your husband, Aaron, I mean, can we just talk briefly about him and your boys?
My lobster.
I mean, again, I had the privilege of being with them this weekend, and in a minute I want you to share about the Rock Walk. But if I could just describe this man that God had brought you as your husband, and the support and love that he has for you, and then your boys, and they are just the most well-behaved, respectful, adorable kids. I just so enjoyed being with your family this weekend.
Thank you for saying that. I love my lobster and my boys. If you think about it, my boys are still very young, and everything they've gone through from 2014 to now, the last 5 years. I mean, Dylan was only 3 when I was diagnosed. And what they've seen, and you can hear there's certain things they'll say once in a while, and it's not something a normal 8-year-old would say, or a normal 10-year-old or 13-year-old, because somebody will ask Dylan a question, and then all of a sudden he'll be like, well, you know, my mom's really strong. She's survived cancer. He's just having a conversation with somebody, but I'll hear it and I'll almost start crying immediately, because I think that's, you know, an 8-year-old I just thankful God's given them strength, because being on the caregiver side of cancer or children, I remember how hard it was for me to watch my mom and dad, and I was way older than them. So the fact that my whole thing going through it is I just want them to see that there's going to be so many storms in their life, because it just is. There's hills and valleys no matter what. Mm-hmm. I just want them to see that if they lean on their faith and they are positive, you know, they have a great attitude, that they can get through anything. And that's all I wanted to instill into them, because I want them to be equipped themselves for life, because things are going to happen.
Well, they are certainly growing up to be incredible young men of faith, and it's just evident how cohesive your family's been just in surrounding you through the last 5 years, even with your brother and sister flying in from Canada, and just being a part of all of that was really, really special. So tell us about the Rock Walk, and tell us about a little more about the GEST Foundation, how the Rock Walk came about, and just how you all fund this foundation.
So we were trying to figure out something to do to, how do we raise funds? Because you need money to be able to give it out to other people. And so we just started with a few little fundraisers at restaurants and things like that where people would come. And then we thought, what about a walk? And the board got together, we thought of some names. We ended up going with Rock Walk, which is Reign Over Cancer, which I loved. And it's just to get people together and walk. It was to honor people you had lost, honor people that are in the battle of cancer.
I'm standing here with Michelle and Aaron Perzan. Michelle is the founder of the GEST Foundation, the Rock Walk. And this is her amazing husband, Aaron, who's 110% supportive beside her with this whole effort. And guys, I just want to introduce y'all and just introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about the walk, the foundation, and why this is a really special thing for you.
In 2014, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I'd already lost several family members to cancer. So it was really important for me to do something and give back. I found that after surgeries was the hardest time because you couldn't do stuff. You couldn't do grocery delivery. I mean, you couldn't do like lifting things. You couldn't cook. You couldn't clean. So we started a foundation. We thought, what if we could help people with those little, little niche areas that you don't think of and insurance doesn't cover. So that's why we created the GEST Foundation.
We started giving out grants in 2018. So starting in September, actually at the Ambitious Women's Conference, we were their charity of choice. And we give out five $500 grants. And if you think about it, every single grant application that's come into us up to today, we have been able to bless that family. So we have been able to bless 100% of the people that have put in applications. And I just keep praying that more funds will come in because people will hear about us. Who doesn't know somebody who's been affected by cancer? I haven't met one person yet that has said, oh, I don't know anybody. So the more people that know about us, the more sponsors we can get, the more funds we can raise, and the more money we can give out. And that's the Rock Walk was, just to raise more awareness about who we are and what we do and how people could help and partner with us.
This is our second annual Rock Walk, and it's Reign Over Cancer. And we added a 5K this year. It's just to raise money to help those in the battle of cancer so that they can get grants and they can use that for grocery delivery, home cleaning, or maybe they just need to pay some bills or do natural options. They can use it for whatever they need, and it's super important.
Yeah, it's money in people's hands versus research and centers and whatnot, which that's great, but people need help too. And that's what we want to do, is give back. When Michelle was going through this, when she went through her first bilateral mastectomy surgery, people stepped up and they meal trained for us. They helped come watch the kids a couple times. A couple people come and just let me get out for a half hour, whatever. That half hour of me time made a lot of difference as the caregiver side. And as Michelle said, it's, you got the person who's going through the surgery, the recovery, and you've also got the people that are there supporting them that you need to lift up and elevate as well. And so that's how it all comes together.
So I have to tell you a fun little story. Last week, I'm part of the B&I chapter, my Business Networking International. And for those of you that don't know, that is an international networking organization for entrepreneurs and local business owners. And I just love my chapter here in Tyler, Texas, the B&I Sunrise Referrals. And a couple of weeks ago, I stood up and basically asked them the question that you just said, Michelle, which was, who knows who has been personally affected by cancer or has a loved one that has? And pretty much the entire room raised their hands. And I shared a little bit about you, Michelle, and the GEST Foundation and the Rock Walk, and told them that I was heading down to Katy, Texas with a group of women to walk. And if they wanted to make a contribution to this foundation, they could. And so they did. We passed the hat around and the group gave. And I think that, and so I just want to give a shout out and a thank you to the B&I Sunrise Referral Chapter and appreciate their giving spirits. But Michelle, let's just put it out there, because I know that this is such an incredibly worthy cause and a worthy foundation. Talk about how can people get involved? How can they give? What are you looking for in terms of raising more funds for more people's lives to be enhanced through this?
First of all, I want to thank your B&I chapter, because when you handed me that check, on Saturday. Like I had tears in my eyes. It was like so sweet. It just goes to show how much they love you and respect you. But for them to even give, if it's $5, $20, $30, $40 to somebody they'd never met just because they know somebody that's going through cancer, it was like, I was so appreciative. I love your chapter.
So my BNI chapter was so excited and supportive about your walk, and they wanted to contribute, and so we kind of passed the hat the other day, and we wanted to give a contribution to your foundation. You're welcome.
And I mean that.
Oh my God.
Not just rehearsed.
You're welcome.
It's sweet. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it was our pleasure. Our pleasure.
You have to come visit them so that they can see who they gave money to. I want to
anytime.
Oh my gosh. You know, we're always looking for donations and sponsors. It's just so important. We can't do this alone. We can't do this without the help of everybody out there. So if people want to learn more about us, they want to sponsor, they want to donate. We're a 50c3, so it's all tax deductible. They can go to GESTFoundation.org. That's GEST Foundation.org. If somebody that you know is going through cancer and they feel like this grant could help them, you can go to GESTFoundation.org, click on the grants tab, and download the application there. Like right now, we started in the Houston and surrounding area, but we have given out grants as far as Dallas, Tyler, Nacogdoches, and South as well. And my vision really over the next couple of years is to grow so big, have so many sponsors that we are able to expand throughout the whole state of Texas and then eventually throughout North America. That's my dream and my passion. And if it's meant to be, God will provide everything that we need to do that. Because you know what? It may be $500, but that makes a huge difference to people in the recovery time.
You can share a few words that would describe her.
Furiously passionate. It is when this woman says, I am going to do this, she is going to do it. She said she was going to write a book, she wrote a book. She said she was going to do a TV show, she did TV. She said she was going to start a foundation, she started a foundation. She doesn't stop because she knows what she's called to do, and she listens to that still, quiet voice that moves a lot. And when she listens to it, she moves.
I love that. This is the oldest son of Michelle Perzan, who's the founder of the GEST Foundation, and Daniel Perzan. Tell us why you are excited to be helping with the Rock Walk today.
Because I don't think that people should have to live with cancer, and I think that that I can help cure it by helping with this stuff. So.
That's awesome. Tell me a little bit about your mom. If you could describe your mom, Michelle, just thinking about what she's been through with her cancer and surviving that, and then you as your family and what y'all have gone through. What are some words to describe your mom?
Awesome, persevering, trustworthy, and caring.
Oh, I love that, Daniel. Okay, I'm going to ask you one more question. What would you say would be the number one thing that the money that's raised with the Rock Walk, the money for the GEST Foundation, what does it go for? What is it used for, the money that y'all are raising today?
It helps cancer patients with stuff like because they can't clean their house if they have cancer and stuff. So the GEST Foundation will send people over there to do the stuff that you need for them, like groceries, food.
Yep.
And last year we actually gave away $15,000 in total last year. So
my husband and I lost our nephew to brain cancer, a brain tumor, about a little over a year ago. And he's a young father in his 30s and married with two small children about the age, about 2 and 4 when he passed. And, I can remember them driving from Arkansas and trying to go down to Houston for appointments and needing to stay in hotels. And I've thought about that a lot. There were probably so many other little financial needs that they had along the way of that journey. And those are the very things that your foundation is helping families with. And it's things that a lot of us that haven't been through that don't think about. We take for granted that we can empty the dishwasher or run to the grocery store or clean our house real quickly. We take for granted, staying in a hotel. So I love that this foundation is it's paying attention to the little things that can mean so much in a family's life.
But when we were looking for something, or when we just sat back and thought, what could we really use? Like 3 little kids, 6 weeks. I had probably a total of 5 or 6 surgeries. If you think about that, and then 6 weeks recovery for each one. My husband having to work from home because basic stuff, going to do the laundry, such little things that, like you said, you take for granted because you just do it every single day. When all of a sudden you can't, that's what I believe, that's why God put it on my heart to start the foundation. He was like, he gave me, it's not my ideas. Everything that I got, honestly, I believe is just inspired by God coming and saying, you want to, because I kept saying, how can I help? It's like, you want to help? Do this. And yeah, but it helps a lot of people. I've had so many people come back to me afterwards and say, you don't know how much that helped me. That's all I want, is to be able to help people. I just had a surgery 4 weeks ago. Should be my last reconstruction surgery, but it reminded me all over again of why I started the foundation. 6 weeks, I can't lift. So here I am at the rock walk last weekend. There's boxes and setup and all this. I had to keep saying to people, would you mind grabbing this box for me? Would you mind moving this? And it's almost frustrating at times because you can't lift it, but you have to know your limitations and be okay. We go back to the whole asking for help and being okay with it. But I could have used a grant this last month. I didn't apply for one. The point is, I could have used it. We could have definitely, somebody would have come clean our house or something like that. A wonderful lady from church sent somebody to clean her house, and I was like in tears thinking, thank you. Like, that means so much. It's such a simple little thing, or somebody to bring a meal or pick up the groceries. It's life-saving to somebody who has gone through a surgery and can't do it themselves. And I just want to be able to bless thousands and hundreds of thousands of people. That's just my passion. I just want to.
Now, last but not least, I want you to share a little bit about your show, Stength in Your Storm. Tell us a little bit about your show this season, and just what what people can expect and how it can really inspire others.
Absolutely. So it's funny. I thought after I started the foundation, I thought, okay, we're good. And then it was not long afterwards that Esther Spina introduced the DSTV, Direct Sales Television. And she came up to me and said, you need to have a show. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I remember I think it was a Friday night, she had brought it up, and I was like, I'm barely, you know what I mean? I'm getting out of my comfort zone, but TV. And I remember calling Aaron and saying, this is what's going on. They're starting a direct sales TV show. And he's like, you're going to have a show, right? And I was like, what's But I was like, and I prayed about it, and I didn't even need to pray about it really, because I already knew what the answer was. And I just said yes. It's called Stength in Your Storm, as opposed to my book, which is Stength in My Storm. And what I wanted it to be was different episodes, sharing a little bit of my story, but speaking to other people who have gone through different storms and find out how they found strength. So I spoke to people that have had loss in children, divorce, cancer survivors. I've spoken to people that have been in sex trafficking. Like, there's just so many different people and every single person I talk to inspires me. And that I've done season 1, I've started season 2 now. And there's just, and I wasn't even sure I was going to do season 2. And I got another dream saying, oh yes, you need to. God kept bringing people in my path, and they'd share their stories with me. And I would know that people need to hear it, because everybody goes through a storm, all different ones, all different types. Not one is more important or bigger than the other, because we're going through it, right? It's whatever storm we're going through, it affects us. And I just want people to see that there's hope on the other side, and they can find strength in it when they lean on their faith. And I'm excited about season 2. I'm excited about encouraging people, and I love that you're doing a show this year too.
Michelle, I just thank you so much for your time, your love, your joy, and the peace that you do share. Thank you for your friendship most of all. And I love you so much.
Thank you for saying that. I love you so much, Lisa.
Thanks again for watching my show today. I hope this interview with Michelle Perzan inspired you as it did me. I learned through my time with Michelle and through our friendship that we are so much stronger than we think we are, and that there is always something greater, a greater purpose on the other side of whatever hardship we're going through right now. I appreciate you watching today, and I'd love to give you my free ebook called Toes in the Sand. If you'll just jump on my website at toesinthesandwithlisa.com, I'd be happy to send that to you. And I also want to invite you to consider my women's retreat coming in September of 2019. If you find yourself as a busy professional woman with stresses and responsibilities pulling from you at every angle, and you could use a few days of downtime to reconnect with your creator, yourself, and other like-minded women on a similar journey, please consider joining me. Have a great day and talk to you soon.